Leon S. Kennedy has survived zombie outbreaks, parasite infections, and some of the most dangerous bioweapons ever created. John Wick is a legendary assassin known as the Baba Yaga, a man who has wiped out entire armies of killers by himself. Both are elite gunfighters, both are masters of close quarters combat, and both have built reputations as some of the deadliest men in their worlds. But if these two were ever forced into a fight, who would actually walk away? To answer that question, we're going to break this matchup down into 4 key areas. First, their weapons and gear, then their combat training and fighting styles. After that, we'll examine their durability and feats. And finally, we'll simulate how a fight between Leon Kennedy and John Wick would realistically unfold. Because while these two fighters share a lot of similarities, there are also some critical differences that could decide the outcome. Leon S. Kennedy is one of the most experienced field agents in the Resident Evil universe. Originally a rookie police officer during the Raccoon City outbreak, Leon survived one of the worst biological disasters in history on his very first day of the job. After that incident, he was recruited into a top-secret government program and eventually became an elite agent tasked with responding to bioterrorism threats around the world. Over the years, Leon has faced enemies that go far beyond ordinary human opponents. He has fought through entire villages infected by the Las Plagas parasite. He has battled mutated bioweapons designed specifically for combat, and he has defeated enhanced soldiers like Jack Krauser, a former Special Forces operative with superhuman abilities. What makes Leon particularly dangerous is his combination of precision shooting and extreme mobility. In combat, Leon regularly performs acrobatic maneuvers such as diving gunfire, rapid repositioning, and powerful close-range kicks capable of staggering enemies much larger than himself. Leon's training also covers a wide range of weapons, including handguns, shotguns, assault rifles, explosives, and combat knives. But perhaps Leon's greatest strength is his experience fighting enemies that are far stronger than normal humans, which means when it comes to high-pressure combat situations, Leon Kennedy is incredibly difficult to overwhelm. However, his opponent is someone who has built an entire legend around doing exactly that. John Wick is one of the most feared assassins in modern action cinema. Known in the criminal underworld as the Baba Yaga, Wick earned his reputation through years of extremely efficient and brutally effective combat. Before retiring, Wick completed what was described as an impossible task, eliminating an enormous number of targets in a single night to secure his freedom from the high table. What makes Wick so dangerous is his mastery of a combat system often referred to as gun fu. This style blends together multiple disciplines, including tactical shooting, judo, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and weapon retention techniques. Wick's approach to combat is built around efficiency. He wastes almost no movement. Most of his fights follow a simple but extremely lethal pattern. Disable the opponent, control their position, then deliver a precise killing shot. Wick is also famous for his incredible headshot accuracy, frequently neutralizing enemies within seconds. His standard equipment often includes a high-capacity combat pistol, tactical rifles, combat knives, and perhaps most importantly, a bullet-resistant suit that allows him to absorb handgun rounds while remaining mobile. Across the John Wick films, Wick has fought through entire squads of trained assassins, specialized tactical units, and countless armed opponents attacking him simultaneously, which means when it comes to eliminating human targets, very few characters are as efficient as John Wick. But this is where things start to get interesting, because when we compare these two fighters directly, their advantages begin to shift depending on the situation. Let's start with weapons. Both Leon and Wick are extremely comfortable with firearms. However, the way they use them is slightly different. John Wick specializes in close-range pistol combat, where he rapidly fires controlled shots before finishing opponents with precise headshots. Leon, on the other hand, is more accustomed to adapting his weapons depending on the threat he's facing. Throughout the Resident Evil series, Leon frequently uses shotguns, magnum pistols, assault rifles, and explosive explosive weapons. This gives Leon a broader range of firepower. However, Wick's bulletproof suit provides a significant defensive advantage. In several fights, Wick has used the suit to block incoming handgun rounds while repositioning for counterattacks, which means if this fight begins with both fighters using pistols, Wick may actually be able to survive Leon's opening shots, and that could give him the opportunity to close the distance. Next, we look at fighting skill. Both of these characters are extremely dangerous in close quarters. John Wick's combat style is built around grappling and weapon control. He frequently uses judo throws and joint locks to force opponents into vulnerable positions before finishing them with gunfire. Leon's approach is slightly different. While he is trained in close quarters combat, Leon tends to rely more on speed and mobility. Throughout the Resident Evil games, Leon often uses powerful kicks and evasive movement to create space during fights. This allows him to reposition quickly while keeping multiple enemies under control. But there's a problem. Wick's grappling style is specifically designed to neutralize mobility. If Wick manages to secure a hold on Leon during a close-range exchange, that could quickly turn into a lethal situation. So when it comes to pure hand-to-hand efficiency, John Wick may have a slight advantage. However, the fight isn't decided yet, because there's another category where Leon might actually pull ahead. John Wick has survived some brutal situations. He has fallen from buildings, been hit by vehicles, and fought through entire groups of enemies while severely injured. His pain tolerance and endurance are legendary, but Leon Kennedy operates in a world where the threats are far more extreme. Leon has fought massive mutated creatures capable of tearing through armored doors. He has survived explosions, monster attacks, and prolonged battles against bioweapons designed for military use. In many of these encounters, Leon is forced to fight enemies that are physically stronger and faster than human fighters, which means Leon has experienced surviving situations that would likely overwhelm most combatants. So while Wick might be the more efficient assassin, Leon may actually be better prepared for a long and chaotic fight. And that brings us to the final question: how would this battle actually play out? Imagine Leon and Wick encounter each other inside an abandoned building. Both fighters recognize the threat immediately. The fight begins with gunfire. Wick fires first, aiming for Leon's center mass before attempting a quick headshot. But Leon is extremely agile and quickly dives behind cover. Leon returns fire, forcing Wick to rely on his suit while repositioning. At this stage, both fighters are testing each other, but eventually the distance closes. And this is where Wick attempts to use his grappling skills to control the fight. If Wick manages to grab Leon, he could attempt to force a close-range finishing shot. However, Leon has fought enhanced opponents before. Using his mobility, Leon may be able to break the hold and create space again. At that point, the fight becomes a battle of endurance and adaptability. And in a prolonged encounter, Leon's experience fighting unpredictable threats could begin to give him the edge. John Wick is one of the most efficient human assassins in fiction. His precision shooting and close quarters grappling make him incredibly dangerous in any direct confrontation. But Leon Kennedy has spent years fighting enemies that are stronger, faster, and far more chaotic than human opponents. Leon's agility, adaptability, and experience against extreme threats give him a slight advantage in a prolonged fight, which means while John Wick could absolutely win under the right circumstances, in most scenarios, Leon Kennedy likely walks away as the victor, but only after one of the toughest fights he's ever faced. But that's just one interpretation of this fight. Who do you think wins? Does John Wick's efficiency and combat precision give him the edge? Or does Leon Kennedy's experience against monsters make him the more dangerous fighter? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more matchups like this, there are plenty of legendary fights we could break down next. Hey guys, if you made it to the end of this video, I just want to say thank you. We just passed 30 subscribers on the channel, and I know that might not sound like a lot, But to me, that's 30 real people who chose to be here and watch these videos. And that honestly means more than I can really put into words. I'm putting everything I've got into making these as good as I possibly can, and seeing even a small group of people start to connect with it, it really does mean a lot. So if you've watched, liked, or subscribed, seriously, thank you. And if you enjoyed this video, stick around, because we're just getting started.